Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of my Real Action Heroes Levi review. If you haven't yet seen part 1, make sure to check that out by clicking on Levi there, or checking down in the description. Like I said in part 1, if you want to get yourself one of these, then head on over to Hobbylink Japan. The link is down there in the description. So here is the Real Action Heroes Levi with everything that he comes with. So what we've got is a 3-dimensional maneuver gear, 2 blades as well as these smaller blade sections, alternate hair part, 2 alternate faces, as well as a total of 8 alternate hands. That's 10 including the default ones. We also have 2 dusters, the wire anchors, the scarf around his head, and the scarf around his neck. And last up here is the cervical mantle. A lot of the stuff here I would have looked at already in my Mikasa Ackerman review, so if you want to see them in more detail, make sure to check that out. I will briefly skim over them here, but check that review for more detail. Here I'll focus a little more on what's exclusive to Levi. Taking a closer look at the hands, and first up is the default pair. And these are an open-palmed, relaxed set of hands. Next, a pair of standard fists. A pair of hands for using with the blades, and this is for holding them the standard way, where the index and middle finger hold the triggers. Just like the last pair, these are for holding the blades, but this time for holding them the reverse way round, in that iconic Levi way. And last, a pair of holding hands with the thumb extended, and these can be used with the dusters. As for faces, we have the default deadpan expression, a similar expression but with the eyes looking off to the left, and finally this awesome dynamic expression. Next, the alternate dynamic hair parts, and these look really damn good. There's Levi with the standard hair, and there is that awesome dynamic hair. That looks so good. Next, onto the cleaning Levi parts, and first are the dusters, with this great looking dark bamboo handle, and it really does look like bamboo. And the upper section is made of actual material, so that moves around and hangs naturally. That is pretty cool. And next are the 2 scarves, the larger one for on his head and the smaller one for around his neck. And it's pretty interesting to note here that there's wire running through the top and the bottom here. On the head part, it's only running through the top. So basically this can be bent into whatever shape you want. So you can fold it nice and dynamically to match the desired pose. So there is Levi with all the cleaning parts attached, and this makes a magnificent difference. It almost looks like a completely different figure. Just like I mentioned, those wire parts and the scarves really make it easy to attach, and they really hold their position. I have to admit, I really recommend getting this version just for these parts. So that's it for the Levi exclusive stuff. I'll take a very quick look at the rest. First up is the 3-dimensional maneuver gear. Faithfully reproduced and looking fantastic. Everything on here is perfect. It looks great, the paint is spectacular, and it also has some functional parts. These smaller blade parts can actually be inserted into these slots here. The full blade can be connected into the handle just like this. And there's the blade. And finally, the wire and anchor. This wire here is actual metal, so it's very solid. And this can connect into this small slot, just like so. This is just a very quick look at this. If you want to see it in more detail, then check out my Real Action Heroes Mikasa review. Next, the cervical mantle, which looks amazing with that cervical logo on the back there. It's also got a fastener in here to keep it closed, and there's also a wire inside of here, so you can pose the fabric. So now moving on to quality, and what can I say, the quality is awesome here. The level of detailing on the clothing is beyond amazing. The paintwork is absolutely flawless for the most part, and the same can be said for mold and seam lines. This really is a premium figure. There was a couple of aspects I did mention with the Mikasa, like the button falling off the jacket, as well as that delicate part on the 3-dimensional maneuver gear falling off. But I was a lot less heavy-handed with this figure, and I can say throughout this review that did not happen. But it is good to keep in mind that this is delicate in places. And I really do have to say that those 4 parts that make this into the cleaning Levi really give the whole figure a completely different feeling. All in all, this is a superb figure. So that is it for my review of the Real Action Heroes Levi from Attack on Titan. Just like with the Mikasa, I said this is a premium figure, and it feels like one too. The figure itself is awesome, the sculpt and paint is fantastic, and all the joints are good and sturdy. For the most part, no paint errors or seam lines, even though there was that one I pointed out on the neck, but like I mentioned, more than likely an isolated case. This really does have a great set of accessories. Like I've already mentioned a couple of times already, I really do recommend grabbing the first production limited version, just for these cleaning parts. They really do make it look like a completely different figure, and the fun factor is through the roof. So that is it for my review. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure to come back for more figure reviews.